Good one, Jeremy.
Yeah.
That one was set up on the tee for him.
You guys ready to go? Fire away.
Coach, every coach has tough days. It's going to be any profession you're in. But just looking back at the App State game, like, just how hard was that for you personally? And then trying to get the defense to recover from that and play well.
Yeah, last year it was tough to watch. The fourth quarter was the main issue. So there's a lot of things that we obviously had to clean up from that game. But I will say this, when you have performances like that, you look for guys to step up. You look how guys are going to respond in the face of adversity, which we won the game, but we still weren't proud of the product we put on the field. And it took a lot of guys in the locker room to continue to go out there and work in practice every day to improve and get better. And really, those type of games, you have to look in the mirror, coaches and players, and say, where do we go from here? And I felt like at that point in time last year, a lot of our leadership stepped up. I feel like they stepped up, and I can't ever really remember a day in practice where I didn't feel like they were out there trying to get better and trying to improve at their trade, so to speak. So tough day. We all have those days when you do this long enough. But I think the character of our football team, it came out at that point in terms of how they worked. I'm not going to say the product from there on was always what we wanted, but their work ethic and how they responded to that adversity was what we wanted. And so as long as you have those responses, you always have a chance to improve and get better. And that's what we try to work on every day.
Have you seen over time where situations like this, having that opponent this week after what happened last year, is sort of natural motivation for the guys that maybe you don't have to push that much because they're so uber aware of it? Does that actually work? And you've been around this thing for a long time.
Yeah, I have. You can't ever forget performances like that, right? And although you'd like to, it's hard to forget. But they'll relive that in their mind some this week for sure. We won't be hyper focused on it. We won't be hyper aware of just the way that day unfolded. What we will do is go back obviously and look at when we weren't playing well. Why did that happen? But from overall, they'll be excited to play in a game like this simply because we didn't play well last year.
Last year, the team lost Curtis Brooks to an injury. He really served as a leader and a veteran for the team, and now you got Boykins off for the year because of the ACL injury. How are you expecting him to impact the team, and also who are you looking to kind of rise up and accept the challenge?
Well, we hate to see anything happen like that, like what happened to Dre. This is a guy that loves football. He's a great teammate. He's a grinder type of guy, just a hard nose. He brings an element to the defense that we need. So it's starting with him first. I really feel for him, and the players feel for him because they know how much football means to him. So I think that's a big loss. It's a huge loss for us. He'll do great. He's in great spirits. Talked to him the day of the surgery, the day after the surgery, Saturday night. So he'll be fine because he's a warrior, and he'll recover from that. A lot of people have to step up. We have some guys on this defense that have played a lot of football. If you go down the list and you look at the guys that have played in 20 to 30 games, there's quite a few of them. And so collectively, those guys have to step up to the plate. We've already got really good leadership on defense. But when you lose a guy like this, guys just have to step up. So, but we feel good about, the leadership and the focus of our older guys right now. So they all have to step up.
Can he take that role of a coach kind of now that he won't be able to play and kind of help the younger guys?
Yeah, I think so. I think that he's really invested in what we've been doing. He's an all-in guy. So he'll do everything he can in his power to still help us and to still be present and available for anybody that needs it. That's just kind of who he is.
Gene, with that, this
out for the season. You had Huzzy back there for much of that game. How much star do you anticipate him playing for the rest of the year, and do you think you would try to shift him back down the corner at some point as well?
Yeah, I think with Huzzy, he's just a really good football player, so he's got the ability and the knack to be able to take on more than one position. And everybody's not built that way, but he is. So that's why when we felt like this was going to happen with Dre, we moved him to star. But that won't be exclusive. He'll be able to play star. He'll be able to play corner. Again, when you're a football player, he's a punt returner. He can do pretty much everything. But no, he won't be exclusive to one position. We'll have the capability to move him around.
Gene, along those lines, back there in the secondary, did the amount of notes that Tayon Holloway came out of the game with the other night, was that a little beefier than some of the other guys? Since obviously he's a young dude, and they did go after him quite a bit at the play.
Yeah, I think it's it's a great learning experience for young players, right? Like especially the corner position is one of the hardest positions to play on the field. Not just physically, but when you get challenged by guys, and they had some guys on the perimeter that could challenge you. When you get challenged like that, everybody in the stadium knows it, right? It's not necessarily that you would ever notice a defensive tackle getting challenged, right? But you would definitely notice when a corner gets challenged. And he got challenged some the other night. So it was a little bit of, trial by fire. And he'll learn a lot. I think, it's interesting because when you go out as a young player, you can usually in school study for a test and then go take the test. In football, the test is that day. And so what he has to do, like all young players, is he has to learn from, the challenges that game brought. And he needs to, and we've made definitive, clear assessments of what he did wrong and what he did right. And he's got to take those and grow from it. That's what this game is, right? You can't get down. You can't put your head down. You have to grow from all of the things that are, create adversity in your life. And we talk to him about that all the time. And he is one that will grow from that from Saturday. He's a talented young man. He had a really good camp. And he played some really good receivers and a good quarterback on Saturday night. So he's got to learn from that. And what he can't do is, and he won't, but what he can't do is get down on himself, can't go into the tank. That is a position right now where it can be a lonely day. It can be a lonely day, and it can be a great day. You know what I mean? And everybody sees it. You don't necessarily see that from, like I said, an inside defensive tackle all the time. But that's the position you sign up for, and that's what you play. But he'll learn from it. I feel good about that.
What did he do well?
I thought there was times when he made a big play in the low red zone one time right now when he came off on a kind of a bubble screen. There was times when his coverage was really good. Obviously, if you're not at the point of attack where everybody's eyes are on that and you play well, nobody sees that. It's usually when you're at the point of attack that you either people see that you play well or you don't play well. So there was times when his technique was really good. There was times when he was executing what we were asking him to do. And then there was times that he got challenged. So, but again, in games, you do some things really well that sometimes people don't see. But at that position, everybody's looking when the ball's thrown your way.
Gene, 9 sacks on Saturday. Looked like one of the sacks toward the end of the game came on 3-man rush with Gainer and Rucker together, kind of a package they had teased a lot throughout the offseason. With the transfer portal additions and younger guys stepping up in the pass rush, do you feel like this defensive line gives you more options or more creativity to create havoc in the backfield?
Well, I feel like we're making strides in the right direction, for sure. We know the strength of our football team right now always has to come from the front seven, and I mean, that's what you want, because if you're good there and you create some havoc there, then it makes it easier for everybody behind you. We've definitely made strides in the right direction. It's been good because we were able to roll a lot of players down there in the front four, and again, create depth. And so as long as we're able to do that, we think we can continue to grow. We certainly did some things that we would like to continue to develop and grow with. And there were some, some warts showed up too. We let too many quarterback scrambles get out of the box. Although there was a lot of great things to build on, there's also a lot of things that we've got to clean up. Not just, it's everywhere on the defense, but everybody's going to look at the tackles for loss and the sacks, and all those were really, really good. But there's still a lot to clean up.
Just to follow that up, you talked about the ability to roll different guys in there now. Did you feel like you had that luxury last year?
Not all the time. And then certainly as the year crept on, the injury bug got us, and we definitely did not have that luxury. Earlier in the year, we had it more than we did near the end. But you feel that way when your guys are being productive. And when the guys are being productive and they're showing it in practice, I'll use Bo Atkinson as the example, right? Bo ended up getting 2 sacks the other night because he's doing the same thing in practice. Whatever we see in practice, you can pretty much bank it, we're going to see it in the game. And he's one of the guys that I'll use as that example, right? So we'd like to see more guys come on and do it in practice so that we trust that when we put them in the game, we'll get the same result.
Gene, was after opening up against Gardner Webb this year, is it almost tougher to scout a team when the only game that you have on them during the season is against an FCS team that they're just sort of a tier above? Is it almost tougher to scout them?
Yes and no. Number one, they've got several returning starters on offense that we have a whole year on, right? I don't anticipate them changing a lot in terms of who they are, even though the coordinator has changed. I don't anticipate that. He's been there before. I think the head coach is pretty ingrained in what he likes to do. Their tailback is really good. They've got 3 interior linemen that played a lot of football. They're really good, and they've got really good skill guys on the perimeter. So when you look at who they have, no matter who they played Saturday, you get a pretty good idea of who they are and what they do. So they're really good. They're a talented, very talented offense, and they got some weapons. So a lot hasn't really changed from last year, and I don't feel like schematically a lot will change. I'm sure there'll be some new wrinkles that we have to adjust to. But no matter who they played Saturday, you still get, we, at least because we played them last year, still have a good feel for what they'll do and who their guys are.
Did you give yourself a moment to celebrate or just feel satisfied after Saturday's performance?
I was very proud of I get satisfaction out of watching them in the locker room after you win. I get satisfaction out of watching the players and what they look like when the fruits of their labor have paid off. That's what I enjoy. And when you see that on Saturday night, that's, I think, what all coaches, that's why we coach, right? It's like teaching a young kid something new, and then all of a sudden they finally get it and they understand it. And this is the same thing, right? So when you can go into the locker room with a win, and when you played, a lion's share of the game the way you need to play, it excites me to be able to see the guys to watch them be happy and celebrate and feel good about themselves. Look, we made it very clear yesterday. There's a lot of warts that showed up in that game. So our job is to fix those, but there was a lot of things to grow and to build on. Well, I think there were some coverage issues that there's some coverage issues that we have to address, which they've been addressed. There are some tackling issues, open field and space tackles that we have to get under control. Not a lot of run attempts in there. I thought our run defense was good. They got away from it early. And then, for the lion's share of the game, the pass rush was good, but there's some warts that showed up in that, right? When you have an athletic quarterback and you let him escape 4 times for 43 yards, those are warts that show up in the pass rush. And it wasn't just on the D-line. It was different reasons why that happened. But we can certainly point to several things that we all need to be better at.
Gene with Rucker. This time last year, your defensive ends were, your jacks were Noah Taylor and Chris Collins. You had Rucker at he was backing up Dez at defensive end, I guess. I mean, has he now sort of made that jack position, like, is he fully just engrossed in that and made it who he can be as a jack? Everybody plays a little differently, obviously, but like, I mean, has he sort of just like risen to what he's going to be now, like, you know, in terms of at that spot?
I think he's really come into his own as a football player just in general in the last 8 months. And we saw spurts of it last year. He's always had a knack to be able to rush the passer. He's a very powerful guy. And plus he has natural instincts right now when it comes to being a pass rusher that we can't teach. You know, we give him the baseline of this is what we, you know, these are the moves we feel like, you know, we have what we call a pass rush ID. Who are you? Who are you as a pass rusher? And we give that to him, just like you would ask somebody for a license. It tells you who you are, right? So we call it a pass rush ID. We know what a pass rush ID is. Let's stay within the framework of who you are as a pass rusher, and then let's not overcoach you. Let's let some of your natural ability take over in this box of who you are as a pass rusher. He's taken that, he's run with it, and he's been blessed with a lot of great physical ability, and I think he's just kind of letting that kick in. So he's definitely more comfortable in the role because he's been in this role for a year now and he hadn't changed. And I think we've really, really worked on, you know, his ability to rush the passer and drop in coverage some if he needs to. So he's becoming more of a complete player, but I think he feels very comfortable with this position and his role in this position.
All right. Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it.